Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Corner, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm actually going to be going over, I'm not even sure how I'm going to title this, to be perfectly honest, which is a terrible way to start a video if you don't even know what the title is. But I'll be going over my methods of utilizing my energy, as well as my methodology when I use alts in Crystal of Atlan, a optimization guide, so to speak. But before we jump into that, and before we jump into one of our shill moments or whatever, but we'll do the shill really quick first. If you like the video, toss a like, it helps a ton. We'll be talking about why you should comment something else in just a moment. And if you want to keep up with more content like this, subscribe to the channel. You'll be able to be notified of when these videos go live. That way you never miss a single one. So as far as this video itself, I hesitate to put this video out. To be honest, I've recorded it a couple of times in the past, and part of the reason why was mostly just because of this style of video. Guide videos kind of suck to make. I kind of hinted at this in my video I made when I was talking about, Nellen's crash out, but like, to be honest, one, there's always gonna be people challenging you consistently with methods that they feel like are better without any claim or any sort of backing whatsoever. And two, things change every single day. So you may put your heart and soul into this, and then suddenly everything is flipped on its head. So I came to a point where I didn't know if I wanted to release a video like this or not, but at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes, not utilize everything they have to their ability to be able to progress pretty reasonably in Crystal of Atlan. And to be honest, I don't even always do all these things myself. So this is going to be less of a guide video and more of a guideline, a kind of a dictionary of my methodology. Why I do the things that I do, my practices, and how you can adapt them or maybe change them up to make them even more optimal for yourself, or maybe just fit your overall playstyle when it comes to Crystal of Atlan. I invite you to enter the comment section and post whatever it is that you do. The comments have actually recently just been kind of unleashed, so to speak. They have very basic moderation, so if you want to toss your essay in there of why you do what it is you do, feel free, but the same rule applies as always. You can disagree, but be respectful. That is the line I will always draw as far as the comment section goes. Anything outside of that, I don't care if you're right or you're wrong, you're gone. That's just how it goes. But again, I invite you, provide your methodologies, what you think is better, what you think can be done better, because together we can form an overall better experience for all of us playing, whether you are free to play or whether you are more of a pay to win player. Realistically, the odds are kind of always against us to some degree. We want to tip them in our favor as much as possible as players. So I figure, you know what? I'll do my part. Maybe we'll start that discussion and see what it is that everyone else does and how we can make this a little bit better for everyone else when they're playing Crystal of Atlan. Now, it's been 3 minutes already. Let's go ahead and jump into what exactly it is that I do on a daily basis and how I optimize my time in Crystal of Atlan. So, fair warning, this video is going to be long. I'm going to do my best to timestamp things, but it's going to require a little bit of jumping around for it to make sense. We're going to go into specific things of game mechanics, misconceptions, and just outright falsehoods that the game wants you to believe that you, as a player, can take advantage of. All right, to start this off, we have to talk about two fundamental, rules or just things to know or understand really about Crystal of Atlan. First thing is going to be alts. Now, some people have divisive feelings about alts, whether they want to play multiple characters or not. I always had, well, at least when we were first starting to play this, you always run into the problem of, oh, I've run out of things to do. Like, I've been playing for like the past 6 hours and like, I just have nothing else to do, right? And the answer most of the time came in as, you need to start building your alts. And, when you start playing a game, you only want to play one character. Not everyone wants to play every single job or every single class. When it comes to a game, you want to play what you want to play, and I totally understand that. The thing about Crystal of Atlan is you have to decide what type of player you are. Are you going to be a bit more optimal? Do you value specifically your enjoyment over anything else? Is your enjoyment come from being more optimal, or does it come from just how you interact with the game? You need to tailor this to your individual style of play. So I'm going to tell you the rule of thumb, and you can decide on how you want to use that for yourself. Rule of thumb is going to be 6 alts. Well, not 6 alts, I'm sorry, 5 alts, 1 main character. It's 6 total. If there are any restrictions on the amount of bonuses you can get or any sort of weekly caps, it is up to the number of 6 per account. Realistically, 6 per adventure team, and adventure teams are tied directly to your server, not necessarily your account. So you can't have multiple adventure teams across different servers. just in case you were curious about that, if you're someone who plays even that much more. But the way this works out is you want a total of 6 for a few different reasons. The first thing is going to be your badge collection. Your goal eventually is to basically max this out. Now, this is just going to be some extra stats. It's not a ton of stats, but these are stats that are team-wide, meaning all of your characters get this all the time. And you're probably looking at this like, this is not really all that much, right? Yeah, but it's free. And it's completely free to you. You can decide on how you want to deal with it overall based on how much of a bonus you're getting. But keep in mind, it is not a ton. It is just some free stat. But what you have here are the different badges. These badges essentially are for leveling up, for using energy, for going through your awakening for classes, which happens at level 45, I believe, and then getting each class to level 60. So there is just 6 characters at level 60, and then also finishing your awakenings at level 45. Now you can go about this one of two different ways if you're going to be making a roster of 6. To make a roster of 6, what you can do, if you're like me, you only like playing very specific classes, you can make up to 6 total different characters. Now they have to at least be different awakenings. That is very important for this process to work out. You want to at least get them to level 60 before you decide you don't want to use them anymore. They can be like 2 of the same class, but different advanced classes, right? So let's say, for example, you're someone who likes the Musketeer line. You like all 3 of those advanced classes, that's 3 characters. Let's say you like the Puppeteer line. Like all 3 of those classes, that's 3 more characters. Bam, you have 6. Pick one of them as your main. That's when you're going to funnel to. The other ones are going to be alts, but they will still get some decent use. You will still have some fun with playing them, so on and so forth, depending on how you decide to use those characters. But you do want to have a total of 6. Now you can just have 6 characters willy-nilly, or you can pick those 6 characters, run them, get them to 60, and then you can choose to just get rid of them. You can probably tell this right now. If you look at my statistics, I have 5 characters total. My 6th character is going to be, this character is going to be turned into a Ghost Blade, and I'm going to have another Ghost Blade. I'm actually going to create a Ghost Blade for the event that's going to happen when it comes out, and then this character is going to be turned into a Ghost Blade. So yes, my homies that enjoyed Assassin while its time was here, it's fun, but like it's kind of and every time I get into a room that's got a little bit of lag, it's almost impossible to play. So I'm kind of over it. It's run its course. It's still fun. I still enjoy it and might make one in the future again as an alt when it becomes more pertinent that I have one consistently, but it's just not really for me. And I'm pretty much going to be making that changeover as soon as Ghostblade hits. So this is my main character and it'll be a Ghostblade. But as you can see, I have 5 characters total right now, but I still have all the bonuses. So you can make characters, get them to 60, and then just get rid of them if you really don't want to. They will delete after 3 days. They'll be off of your account. Some people, out of sight, out of mind, just feels better. That's how I personally am. I could have a bunch of characters on my account they don't use, and I could still kind of make some optimizations for here and there, but I just don't like having characters on my account that I'm not going to use. So get rid of them, out of sight, out of mind. You still have the slots you can utilize later if you really, really want to. You can go about that way, or of course you can, and then after you do that, by the way, after you've gotten rid of the characters you don't want to keep, and you've gotten your, your shining like a star and your jack of all trades badges for level 60, by the way, you've gotten those taken care of at 6. You can then just make whatever characters you want. You can have multiples. For example, I have 2 of everything except for, of course, Ghostblade, since it's not out yet. I have 2 Magiblades, I have 2 Zerkers, and I enjoy running those characters specifically for the things I actually run them on. You're asking yourself, why bother with so many alts? Why should I even run alts, so on and so forth? Like I said, everyone's different. For me, alts felt awful when I didn't build them. And we're going to get to building alts and how you should build your alts in a little bit. But alts felt awful when I didn't build them. I have to play on them felt like an absolute chore. The way I've set things up now, I actually don't mind running things on my alts. It's actually kind of fun. I get to test little things out here and there, but I wouldn't test out nearly as much on my main character because, of course, it caused some problems. But that's besides the point. That's kind of the whole spiel with alts. You can decide how you want to do it on your own, but you do want to have a total of 6, 5 alts, 1 main, and that's pretty much it. So now that we have our alts, we have our reason, or at least we have a reason of how we build our roster. I'm going to say how we use them yet, but how we build our roster. I'm going to go on to the next thing that's important, and that is energy. So energy is interesting. Just if you want a faster answer to how energy works, you can literally just click on energy in the top left here. You can click this here, and this will go over everything that has to do with energy. I'm going to explain it a little bit differently. I found it helps me understand how energy works, and that makes it so I properly utilize my energy each day. So energy is a pool of of 6 characters on your account's energy. Now, 6 being the maximum, even if you don't have 6 characters, it's a pool of up to 6 characters energy. I say up to, I guess is the right terminology to use in this situation. So what that means is I have a 140 energy base because I have the pass. I don't remember what it's called. It's like the Prismatium pass, something like that. Phantasm Pass. I have the Phantasm Pass, which gives me an extra 20 energy. It also says an extra 120 energy account cap. This is just because your energy pool is based on, again, 6 characters, and every character on your account, which being 6, gets an extra 20 energy. That's 120. So that's how that works out. So your energy is a pool of all these characters' energies. What that means is, as I spend this energy here, so if I'm at 140 out of 140, right? So I'm on 140 out of 140, let's say we're just started the day, and then we're at maximum account energy. As I spend this here, this number is going to decrease as well. Now, you know that once you spend your energy, you have the ability to spend what's called account energy. Account energy then is actually going to then spend the energy of other characters on your account. The other characters are going to start to lose energy in tandem with the account energy that's being utilized on one character. Now, that's going to be important for something we talk about a little bit later, but it's important to understand how energy works in general, because as you use account energy, that uses energy on those other characters. I'm making a point to say specifically it uses energy on those characters because we're going to take advantage of that as a mechanic a little bit later on. So just know that you have your 140 and you have your account energy. Your main energy or your character energy is usually used for character progression, and your account energy is mostly used for gold optimization. What I mean by that is, when you're building a character, you're running things like Abyssal Purgatory. Abyssal Purgatory is really good for you because there's a chance, if we go over to drops, a chance to give you, your class specific gear, your accessories, and so on and so forth if you don't already have that stuff. This is very important, along with giving you a good chunk of erosionized stones when you're using your character energy. When you switch over to account energy, you can see all of that goes away. You're getting basically BS drops mostly, and then it's just giving you gold for the energy you spend, because the amount of energy you spend is actually equivalent to the amount of gold that you make depending upon the piece of content that you do. So if, like, say for example, we did double rewards, each clear of this is going to give me minimum 30k gold. So you get more of that, of course, with bonuses and everything else that goes on, but like each individual run count of this, if I run it 10 times, that's 300k basically, is gonna give me 30k gold, so on and so forth. Of course, we also have the chance at those drops and things like that in between. So how do we use this to our advantage? How do we use our energy? What do we do? So to understand that is to understand how I personally build my alts. My alts have 2 different phases. They go through what I consider their building phase and then completion. So alts do require a little bit of money investment, yes, but comparatively to how much you're going to spend on upgrading your main, it's next to nothing, especially if you whale. If you whale, it's basically nothing compared to how much you're gonna actually work on your main itself. My Zerker is probably the best example of an alt that is completed. He is level 15 weapon, or sorry, he's level 15 upgrade on his weapon, level 13 all of his armor. I've got his full left side. Granted, right now it's all black feather, but it could be glimmer scale. I just haven't upgraded yet because just haven't felt like spending the gold on it. It's really not necessary. And then of course he has his full right side of his accessories at 70. You're probably thinking, you upgraded the accessories, it's going to cost you more gold, right? Well, yes, but the nice thing about this is they added in a new thing a while back. I can get an example of it. Here we go. Repeat crafting discount. The repeat crafting discount basically allows you to do a repeat craft on your account. This is account wide, or sorry, this is adventure team wide specifically, but any other character on this adventure team that crafts this specific piece is going to get a discount. That means if I craft on a different character, my main gets a discount. If I craft on my main character, I'll also get a discount. So that means that while I go through and do the things I run on my alt anyway, they're going to get these materials and these resources, and I can upgrade their gear for a fraction of what I paid originally. Granted, it's going to cost me a bit of gold. I only ever use bound gold on this, but it does mean my alts over time will become stronger. That's why if we take a look at my alts, if I get over to it, you'll see that most of them have their full left side gear already, because realistically speaking, it's not expensive to make it, and it's fairly powerful. It's actually easier to upgrade that gear than it is to try to go for the absolute pieces that you need of left-sided gear for the individual classes, but I digress. That's not really the point of that here. We're not at that point, but that might be useful for like future situations. Let's say maybe at the level 80 patch, a lot of times the raid pieces only require a piece, not specifically the piece for your class. So you could always just grab the piece that drops, hold on to it, and then upgrade it. For example, my Zerker for a while had like some really weird left side pieces. I just upgraded the pieces that weren't for his class, left the pieces that were for his class, and upgraded those last. So I ended up getting his raid pieces taken care of very easily, and he got into his set bonuses much, much faster because of that. So kind of gotten away from the topic here, apologies, but basically this is what a completed alt looks like. He has plus 13 gear, he has plus 15 weapon, he has his actual weapon, the crit weapon itself. He has a pet. Pets aren't as important realistically. You could just give them the jackalope and this I forget what this pet's actually called. No character that hasn't named the pets. Dumb names I gave him. Yeah, the Shining Christofox. The assistant jackalope and the Shining Christofox honestly are perfectly fine. You don't need to use anything else. I just happen to have leftover pets, so I've just kind of rolled them down as I've been playing my characters. But again, not a big deal. You don't have to worry about doing even that much. They're perfectly fine with those pets specifically as they're building. And that's pretty much it. I mean, other than that, I did give my alts a let me see. They do have pink insignias. I usually stuck to insignias that were only ever minned out in price, so 300k. They're going to get inscriptions no matter what the situation is. Yes, this is my alt that has Extraordinary Technique 3 and Quenching 3, but if you notice, my main does not have an extra tech 3 here. That's going to happen. But as you can see, like, he also has circuits. They're not the best circuits in the world, but they are some circuits. This one actually is a bad example. This is a pretty good rolled circuit, funny enough. But I just essentially looked for the base main stat that they're looking for and like a decent stat or two mixed in, and then just shot it to 20 and rolled with whatever it was. Again, it's an alt. Their stuff does not have to be perfect. It's completely fine if they have some kind of BS circuits. The main stat's mostly what you're looking for most of the circuits. So like, I think he has crit damage here, if I want to remember correctly. Yeah, it's crit damage here. His crit damage. I think I have him with pyro circuits here. Yeah, pyro, and then these are all attack. So not the end of the world. Don't have to have perfect circuits. Just get them level 20. I mean, for some people, you can even get them to level 8. Just that way they have all of the stats and you're good to go. It's actually a pretty nice bump. The idea here is that you want to put something into your alts, but you don't want to put too much into your alts because then you're taking away from your main. You always want to only spend bound gold specifically when you're doing this, because your unbound gold is a precious resource, especially for someone who is not pay to win, you're free to play, or a very, very low spender. You really need to be thinking about your unbound gold, and we're going to talk about that as well in just a moment here. This is what a completed alt looks like. Let's take a look at an alt that's still being built. So here's my Zerker that's still technically being built. You can see his weapon is actually not plus 15. His weapon is actually plus 13. It is plated plus 15. He's got his left side gear. He doesn't have his full right side set up yet. Still missing 2 pieces. I'm actually going to run Sunflame on this Zerker and test it out versus my Divinity Zerker to see how big of a difference it really is. These are kind of the interesting little things you can do when you're messing around with your alts. You can run them on what might be an unoptimal build without really messing with your main to see if you just like that build a little bit more. You can kind of mess around with stuff. So for some people, they like making just duplicates of their main and then making different builds and different types. That way they can test those builds out and see which one they like more. Or some, it's like, oh, well, you know, this is the character I've had that's been the luckiest, so I'm just going to run this character. And then, you know, they start pushing that character like crazy. Everyone has their different way of doing it. And other people, it's just the fashion, right? Sometimes like, I just want to wear this outfit and this outfit and this outfit. I like coloring these outfits. So there you go. You have a whole cast of characters that can wear those different outfits. You can see like he's still missing 2 pieces here. And he still hasn't gotten them yet. I'll explain how we actually build on our alts and what we do for these alts, because it's actually pretty interesting. A lot of people don't do this. But you can see, I mean, pet wise, he has a cowboy, but he has the Shining Christofox as well. He would have been fine with Jackalope, but you know, it is what it is. And then, you know, decks are the decks. They're shared across accounts, so it's not a big deal there. And then as far as insignias go, I actually recommend his insignia setup more than others, because what I'm going to start doing, and I recommend most people do this because it's not really necessary to go any harder, just giving them a slotted pink insignia is enough. And the newer ones are actually really, really good. So we have Odessa in the chest and the pants, and the boots, gloves, and helmet we have Isaac. In the talisman we have, it looks like a crystalline beast here. Oh, is what? Yeah, talisman and the seal. What do we have in here? I think maybe Gramos. Yeah, we have a Gramos here. And in the accessories, now this one has an Andre, but to be honest, I don't think it has it. Yeah, either throwing in some clockworks in here. This is one of the exceptions I would recommend upgrading if you are short on crit rate. Or if you're okay on crit rate, just toss in Gorkashes. They're really, really good, and they're not very expensive. As long as they're like minned out or very, very close to minned out, throwing Gorkashes in there are actually pretty solid. And I'll make a video talking about like the insignias I recommend more often in the future. As far as weapon goes, he just has a attack insignia in here. But if you bought the like level 1 or the $1 thing and has the crit rate or crit damage insignia, that's good to toss in there as a placeholder. Sometimes you might get lucky and just happen to get elemental insignias. You can give those to your alts if you really want to. I personally sell them. That's unbound gold. I want to make sure unbound gold continues to roll into the account. So my alts really don't need them, and they're perfectly fine otherwise. because they don't need to worry about element when you have things like, where is it? Attribute Master. Attribute Master gives you all attribute attack. Level 4, yeah, you gain all attribute enhance, you get all attribute attack. So your attribute damage is whatever your highest attribute is. So we don't have to worry too much about the elemental insignias nearly as much anymore, or the food in that situation. But yeah, that's a built alt, or that's a alt that's still being built. Now let's talk about how they differ in their energy expenditures on a day-to-day basis, because it is different from character to character and how that actually works. So we first log into the game for the day. We try to figure out what character are we going to run, how we're running them. So these are the two characters that are finished built. These are the two characters that are still building. What we do is we log in to one of our characters that's still building. And pretty straightforward, we run all of their energy down in Abyssal Purgatory. Just all the way down. So we jump online. We have any battery packs. We do have some now, but I'll save those for tomorrow. We have any battery packs, we burn them, jump over to Adventure, jump into Abyssal Purgatory, and we're just burning down all of our Hunter's Medals over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until we hit 0. And actually, this is an interesting thing. I just realized I can actually show you guys this now. I actually wonder if I can make it happen. It'll be perfect for the video. But since I have the energy, I'm going to go ahead and pop this here. I have to remember to use this later. But if we go over here and attempt to spend energy, I mentioned this as something the game tells you is random, but isn't really random. There are these pop-up shops that happen, and these pop-up shops tend to pop up usually right when you need them, or maybe even not when you need them, but the game is like, oh, you need this resource. You could get it if you spent a bit of money, right? And they make these pop-up shops happen. And it tends to happen when you don't have the resource you need. So if I go in here, I'm going to Abyssal Purgatory, and as you can see, I need 20 tickets to run this. I just put my tickets away. Game doesn't know that. Oh, well, you know, that's not going to work there. You know what? Maybe we can proc it. You know what? I can force it. You know what? Just for the sake of the video, I will make it happen. I believe I have. Yes, I do. There we go. For the sake of the video, I'm going to burn one of these just to prove a point. Or this will be cut out completely. Who knows? So we can see this is going to require 20 energy to complete, and it requires these Hunter's Medals, but I don't have any Hunter's Medals. So I'll click Solo Challenge. I have no Hunter's Medals. I can't challenge. Oh, all of a sudden the game told me, hey, you need some Hunter's Medals? You can buy some. Just give us some Prismatium. These shops are not random. The game will have you believe these shops are random. I have quite literally seen record of assistance in the game, or like, you know, of mods of some descent or some sort tell people these shops are random. They're not. These are not random. There are specific things that you do in game that will trigger these shops to pop up. I do not know all of them. I know quite a few of them, but one of them that tends to pop up the most is when you need a resource and you don't have that resource and you attempt to do the thing that requires that resource, it then pops up with the shop. So whenever I need extra Hunter's Medals, I force the shop to pop up. But you're probably thinking, why? It's going to cost you money. It costs you Prismatium. Prismatium is a finite resource for us. It's very important. Why would you spend any resources on using that? Well, I'm going to show you something really quick here. Now, if you're building an alt and you need to run the Abyssal Purgatory, eventually you're going to hit a point where you run out of Hunter's Medals. The free Hunter's Medals they give you every week are not going to be enough. And utilizing the ones you purchase off of the shop here, as you can see, they're 3.7k a piece right now. Pretty expensive if you're running this consistently. What if I told you you never want to pay that price, and this is actually a scam of a price for you to pay? And if you have any of these Hunter's Medals and you're using them, you're actively losing money. Well, let's just do a little bit of math. So earlier I mentioned that your Prismatium or your Unbound Gold is a precious resource. You need to keep in mind how much you have, how much you're getting, because this is actually your direct tie to Prismatium. Unbound Gold is Prismatium. You need to look at them as the same thing. When you spend Prismatium, you're spending Unbound Gold. When you're spending Unbound Gold, you're spending Prismatium. As a player who's not spending a ton of money on the game, especially if you are a mid to low spender, or if you're free to play, you need to keep this as gospel. Whether you play 1,000 alts, whether you play one character, it is how this game works. Reason for it is because if you go into co-assignment, you can sell your Unbound Gold for opals. These opals will come to you as Prismatium. You won't get them as opals. Paid players have to pay opals for this, you get back Prismatium. Prismatium is used for everything you can use opals on, except for buying gold. That's it. Everything else, you're good to go. You can use Prismatium on it. So you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on how much gold you have, how much gold you're selling. That way you have a decent amount of Prismatium. So let's take a look at the gold cost, right? So let's look at worst case scenario. 10 million gold is 1K Prismatium. Let's say that's minned out prices. 10 mil is 1, right? So 100 Prismatium is 1 million gold. So let's take a look at that shop that just popped up. Take a look at the shop. For 200 Prismatium, we get 1 million gold, which doesn't seem like much, right? And 1.5K Hunter's Medals. Now, we know we need these Hunter's Medals no matter what. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where we're going to have to use these Hunter's Medals because we're not going to have enough of them, and we do not want to use our sellable versions. The sellable version, like I mentioned, it's a scam to use them, that you are losing out on money. If we take the cost of a Hunter's Medal, right? So it's 370. And we look at how many Hunter's Medals they're about to give us. So I said 370, but 3,700, right? Times the 1,500 they're giving us. That's 5.5 mil worth of Hunter's Medals. So every time you use one of those, this is the gold pool you're pulling from. So it is always 100% of the time worth for you to proc this shop and purchase this outright for the 200 Prismatium for the Hunter's Medals alone. That's not counting the gold. That's not counting the 300 Hunter's licenses you're going to get for free that eventually you will use. You will use these Hunter's Medals, these Hunter's licenses, because eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to start running these. So you're going to go ahead and stack these up, and you'll get a hold of these along with it as well. Now, at this point, is this worth? Yes, but you don't need to get to this point. This is unnecessary. As far as the costs go, I mean, you can run it again. We can take a look. 3,700 times 3,500, right? That's 1,200 or 12 million. You can see that's 5 mil. So like the comparison is definitely there. These are always going to be worth it. You can go down this list if you want to go ahead of time. Technically speaking, it actually is pretty smart every time this shop passes up to roll through the whole thing. But I found that it's just a little too aggressive on my Prismatium expenditures to go this hard on it. Just going for this first set here has been more than enough for me. And that gets me a good amount of not only, you know, free bound gold, but also a good amount of Hunter's Medals to keep the ball rolling. But technically speaking, yes, this is actually worth it as well. I just never found it to be a necessity, right? Because as soon as you get lucky and you no longer need to run these, it then becomes less of an important resource, as these are unshareable and they are stuck to this character specifically. So now you kind of get a bit of an idea of the methodology and the mindset, right? Like you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your bound gold or your unbound gold. You're keeping an eye on it as it is Prismatium. So we talked about how you're getting a hold of these, right? We talked about how you can kind of game the system on these shops. And again, this happens all the time. Keep an eye out for this. This is like you're upgrading pets. The pet one pops up. The pet one is, they don't have the same value, by the way. Don't just assume because this came up like, oh my God, it's worth it. Click it all. No. It's very different. If you're upgrading over at, Glenn, you know, he might get the pop up for some stuff. It might be worth it for you there, but just make sure you're calculating out what your expenditures actually are and how much you're actually investing and things like that. This is just a quick little tip that you can use to get this done as well. So the second thing that, again, the game would have you believe is random, but is 100% not random, is the Wondrous Shop. The Wondrous Shop is very important for players who are not spending a ton of money. If you are a mid to low spender, if you're free to play, this thing is kind of like your make or break for how comfortable your Crystal of Atlan time is going to be. Now, the Wondrous Shop is going to have various items in it. You've probably seen it multiple times before. You've opened it up. Basically what happens is you get a shop that pops up after you've spent a certain amount of energy. I'm going to tell you exactly how that works in just a moment here. And that Wondrous Shop, once you open it, it has a whole list of items in it, randomly generated from like a pool of items that can pop up in there. Sometimes it can be pulls. Sometimes it can be various items you might need, resources, things of that sort will pop up over there. And again, it's completely random. You don't know exactly what's going to be in there. That is truly random. And then what ends up happening is you can then share it over to your fleet mates, and your fleet mates can then do this thing called haggling, where they will bring down or offer an additional discount on the items that are listed there. Now, the reason it's important is because it is always going to be discounted pulls that are going to be listed there. That is where you want to spend your Prismatium on getting your pulls. So if I go over to my main character, let's go ahead and pop over to him really quick. That was weird. I'm glad I got that on. I got that on the recording. I popped in my main character really quick, and we open up his inventory. What you'll see is if I go, oh, forgot that happened. Where are we? As you see here, we have 181 Arcane of Adores. Now, for context, we would have a lot more. Spend 115 on getting one of these pandas. Now, I grab one of them because they're supposed to be like this whole other system coming in similar to the mounts is based on how many pets you have. So I grab one of each pet basically as a TLDR of that. Even if you don't plan on using them, but essentially it's costing 115 of these pulls to get one of these freaking pandas. That was not fun. It was very painful. But regardless, we got one. So 115 down and have 181. I'm going to be very straightforward and honest with you. I have not ever once paid a full price for any of these pulls ever. When it comes to pet pulls, when it comes to mount pulls, I have never paid full price. It has never been 100 whatever's to pull, 100 prismatium to pull on either of these, like on these banners. Occasionally on this banner, I've paid full price just to get, because I've gotten close to some things, but not once has it ever happened for the Arcane of Adores. It's similar for the brocades, not exactly, but essentially what happens is if you are smart, you run your Wondrous Tales. I'm sorry, you get your Wondrous Shop every single day. My Final Fantasy 14 players like, oh, Wondrous Tales. But you get your Wondrous Shop every single day from your characters, and you can get one per character on your account. Not 6 characters, but every single character you have on your specific family can have one of these shops. So this is one of those times where having more than 6 is actually a benefit. But all of them get these Wondrous Shops. So you want to make sure, be careful, that you are getting your Wondrous Shop per character, that you can actually get them. And if you have to have more than 6, then it is still worth it to actually go ahead and make sure this Wondrous Shop pops up. I'm going to teach you how the Wondrous Shop pops up and how you can manipulate it so that way you can spend energy on the characters you want to spend on and then avoid spending energy on the characters you don't want to spend on. So when we're spending our energy, like I mentioned on our alt, we spend all of our character energy on our alt character. They need gear, so we're running Abyssal Purgatory, hopefully getting our accessories or whatever it happens to be, or our weapon if we need it. We lucked out and finally got all of our weapons on our alt, so we don't need weapons anymore. We just need to get the rest of their right-sided gear and we'll be good to go. So we're running that out. After those 2 characters are done, we're headed over to this character, our main. Notice how we skipped over our completed alts, headed right to our main. The reason for it is because we want to burn our main, our character energy, and then all of the rest of the account energy we have. Now, the reason we do this and the way we do this is going to kind of vary depending upon the individual. I personally use Pure Virtuous Verses. Pure Virtuous Verse is a virtuous verse, but on steroids. What it essentially does, we can kind of look at it here. While the blessing is active, you can use the multi-clear function to consume up to 10 times the character energy and 5 times the character reserve energy, or 10 times the account energy and 5 times the account energy reserve energy to obtain the corresponding amount of rewards and adventure dungeons, Abyssal Purgatory, and critical conquests. Basically, it makes burning your energy faster. And the reason why we use one of these is because it also works on account energy. You can simply use a regular virtuous verse for just character energy, and if you choose to do that, you want to use your energy differently than the way I'm recommending here. If you choose to use a regular virtuous verse, a little bit cheaper for you, but you have a little bit less you can do overall with your account as opposed to using the virtuous verse or the pure virtuous verse, which allows you to use account energy as well, because regular virtuous verse doesn't work on account energy. So with what I do, the reason I use it this way is one of 2 things. One, I usually run alts. I run at least my account energy I burn with my main character with a friend, which gives us a little bit of the friend bonus. Not a ton of gold, but like a % or 2, nothing too crazy. But I also use one of these, a Thief's Lucky Spring, which gives you an extra 10% gold. I basically stack this along with, of course, the gold drink that you can get, which that's another nice thing about having alts is you can check all of your different alts for gold drink. If you're not sure what that is, when you ever hear anyone saying gold drink in chat over and over again, I was hoping I'd find one here. If you hear people saying gold drink in chat over and over again, it's because there's a specific drink that gives you an extra 5% gold gain, but minus 2% of damage done, which doesn't really matter. You're doing dailies, like whatever, not a big deal. But you stack those 2 things together, and then you burn all the energy you can on this one character. And we burn that energy with critical conquest, mostly because it's efficient on our gold per energy usage. It also has a chance of giving us a gold insignia that actually is worth money, and it's just very consistent. Now the trade-off is that you get half as many, where are they, erosion eye stones when you're burning account energy than you would if you were to do Abyssal Purgatory. Now you can run Abyssal Purgatory instead if you want to get more erosion eye stones, if you need a bunch of these for upgrading your accessories. Once you're done with upgrading your accessories, you really don't need a bunch of them. You get half as many of them running Critical Conquest as opposed to running the Abyss thing, but you also have a chance of getting your Crowd Insignias, which you can get this with burning account energy as well. I've had it happen multiple times, but it is just an extra influx of damage, or an extra influx of gold that you're going to be getting. Yes, at a certain point, you're going to hit a point where you are going to need to purchase Hunter's licenses. You will run out. That is going to happen. That's totally fine. Just make sure every single week that when you're going to that, that tree to make your wish, you pick the one that has Hunter's licenses on it as well to mitigate that a little bit for you. You can also grab Hunter's licenses if you haven't from your fleet. I think I grabbed mine already for the week. I did. Yeah. Get Hunter's licenses from there. So just make sure you are staying on top of that. And then eventually you're going to buy Hunter's licenses from the shop. Yes, I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but they are always minned out at 1K. And I think for a while they went below that too. So I also recognize that as I release this video and explain one last thing here, the biggest part of this, it likely is going to cause the shift in the market. Maybe it won't. Maybe no one sees this video and you guys luck out. But earlier on when I mentioned if you're using any of the sellable Hunters, what was it, Hunters tickets or Hunters permits, whatever they're called. Let me see. Hunters medals. If you're using any of these Hunters medals, you're basically griefing yourself. Sell every single one of them. If you have sellable versions, sell them. Sell them, because you're going to get the other ones that you need on those other characters that are bound, and you're going to get them not only from running your Golden Fleece, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're going to get 100 of them per character. You have 3 characters, so that's going to be 300 on, so it's basically 300, 600, 900 of them, guaranteed a week. Plus, while you're running Critical Conquest, they're in the drop pool, so you get even more of them. And these are all tradable, all shareable. Sell them. Don't use my other characters, sell them. For some strange reason, people are purchasing these at this cost. They may not anymore, again, after this video comes out, but while they're still doing it, keep selling them. Keep making your money off of them because you're getting them at a severely reduced price by manipulating that shop. So best thing you do is take advantage of it now. So now we've talked about what you do with your alts you're building, your main. Let's talk about those other 2 characters. You're probably thinking you're out of energy, right? You burned all of your account energy. What are you going to do with them? Well, nifty little trick we learned. We mentioned everything is about getting your Wondrous shop. And I guess I did skip over the one thing that is consistent for the Wondrous shop. The Wondrous shop will spawn after you have spent 50 energy on that character. After that character has burned at least 50 energy, a Wondrous shop will spawn the next time it can spawn. Now I specify that because you're probably thinking, why would you specify the next time it can spawn? Or the time that it can't spawn? Well, because of the way account energy works and the way that character energy works, you can burn energy on a character without being on that character. So because we burned our character energy on those 2 characters we're building, all the rest of it on our main, these characters, they're out of energy. They didn't run anything, but they're out of energy. Which means if we go over here, we finish the daily for logging in and consume 100 energy immediately as soon as we log into these characters, even though they had done nothing. And the reason why that's important is because that gives you 20 and then 40, which gives you up to 60 for your daily. And this gives you a single battery pack for 10 energy. And the reason why that's important is because we use that battery pack, pop battery pack on the character, and then we take this character over to where? Oh, I logged out. I'm an idiot. All right, less of an idiot, but yep, we take him right over here to Critical Conquest. We run a single Critical Conquest, and because the character has burned 50 energy and he is able to get a Wondrous ticket, the Wondrous ticket drops every single time. Now, I've been told in the past, this is random. By multiple people actually, they said they've gotten it a bunch of different ways, but we've tested this and either I am just the luckiest player in the world and have managed to have this consistently happen for, I would say maybe 5-6 months now, every single day in a row for all 5 characters. So either I'm that lucky, or what I said previously, after 50 energy is burned, the next time you can gain a Wondrous ticket, you get it. So now, bam, we have burned energy on all characters. We have now made sure characters need to build are being built. They're running energy the way they need to. Characters that aren't being built are burning energy efficiently the way they need to. by burning as little of it as possible, and then everything else is being funneled into the main character that has all the gold buffs going to get as much gold as he can out of the energy that's being utilized. Now we have the wondrous tickets. How do those work out? Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. It's up to you how you want to go about this, but I personally, at the very bare minimum, have 4 characters. And those 4 characters are all in the same fleet. On the Arcs fleet, if you're on Y2, feel free to let me know. You're more than welcome to join. That way you can do this as well. But essentially what it is that because the wondrous tickets or the wondrous shops have a haggle option that you then shoot out to your fleet, it's not always going to be the chance that you'll have someone available to haggle your shop for you. Well, your alts can. So once everything is done, I pop my ticket, click the button, find out what my percentage discount's going to be, and then I go ahead and share it to my fleet. And then I swap characters. I do that for every single character I have in that fleet itself. Let's do that thing again. Every single character I have in the fleet itself. And between those 4 characters, each of those characters get 3 haggles. So they're maximum haggles, and they're all set to go. That way, all their shops are completed, all the energy is burned, and everything is done efficiently, and I can get the most out of for my main character. Not only the most gold efficiency out of my energy, but the best I can do for building each character and then not putting any energy into characters that do not need to be built any further. You're probably thinking, why do you go through all of this? What is the point? Why even build your alts? If you have alts you can have that just get carried, why even bother? Well, for me personally, playing my alts was an absolute nightmare. It was a chore every time I had to play on them because they had no damage. They were basically worthless. I had all plus 10 gear of the baseline of whatever was available. Barely any circuits, barely any insignias. They basically had nothing. More or less they had nothing, and it was really, really annoying, and I hated them. I hated playing on them. I hated doing anything on them. The way my alts are built now, I can actually show you really quick here. I make sure to basically run out all of their... this last ult still needs to do Apocalyptic and Temple, but I had to find a party for that, for getting Legends knocked out. That way I can get the rewards for them. But they run everything, and my mains, while he does, of course, things like Legend and Elites, my ult actually runs solos for everything. Now, the next question is, why bother running solos? Well, the thing about the new system they added into the game when it comes to insignia drops is full insignia drops now require a system where people have to like bid for the insignias back and forth, meaning that if you get lucky and happen to get a drop, you then have to kind of win it out in a bid war or something along those lines. It's really annoying. I've seen it happen a couple of times, and I just, once I started noticing that was the thing that's happening. It doesn't happen for modules, but it happens for insignias. But I know the chances of getting an insignia drop is really, really low, but like, I don't want to have to then fight someone for my insignia drop. It's just not something I want to have to deal with, and not something I actually go through. So I choose to run solos, and even running solos, my characters have, I can use this character as an example. Funny enough, my characters will get everything they need to upgrade all of their left-sided gear. They still gain power over time, with enough of the resources to upgrade everything. There's another thing to mention too. For some people, they're like, oh, well, I can't run Elite or I can't run Legend. Like, am I ever gonna get the upgrade materials? Yes. If you're running your raids every single week, even the easiest of the raid versions, you will start to gain power. You will get your upgrades. You will get your gear. You will be perfectly fine. So if you're in a situation where you're like, I can't get this done for the week, it's the last day, I'm not gonna be able to run tomorrow, I can't find an Elite run story. Run story mode, run solo if you have to. It is still worth it. You will still gain resources, and it's better to do that than it is to waste the actual claim and then purchase afterwards from the reclaim shop, from the guild treasury after the fact. It's just not worth it overall for you to just miss out on those claims. So alts, they all run solos. Main runs the main stuff, and then everything gets funneled over to the main character. What I mean by everything is the gold. You gain gold for running raids. And because they added in, do I have any on this character? I don't. We'll have to look at the shop here. They added in, where is it? I guess I bought them already. Yeah, they added in the singularity caskets. These allow you to claim from other raids for completing things. Because they added these in, it's very, very cheap to get them, but completing the other raids, clicking through these will give you rewards, and you have a chance at not only getting modules, but insignias you can then either sell or utilize, or whatever it happens that you want to do with your upgrades for your character. It's more chances at these things, and of course just raw gold for your main character. More gold, more progression, things are easier for you. That's why I run solos personally. I know some people that run story. If you decide to run story mode, if you want to do some group stuff, that's fine. You'll get these singularity caskets for running story mode for these. Just make sure you've completed these raids beforehand, and this is like just king, queen, was it Temple of Fate and Apocalyptic Descent. Once you've completed those at least once, using one of those items gives you a clear for the raid of the highest difficulty you've cleared. So you'll find people that are running like Legend, they're carrying some people through. You might want to jump in one of those, get your run in. That way you at least can get Legend rewards every single time you turn one of those in. Even if you do something as crazy as I do and run solos and buy the Singularity box, you can then open it and get Legend rewards from the older raids. And when you don't necessarily get insignias, you will get gold, and that gold does pile up over time. So all those things together, if you're taking advantage of every single one of those things, you're going to start to accumulate gold for your main character. And you'll find that when you get to a certain point, it costs more and more and more gold to upgrade. So those upgrades you make on your alts, while they seem like it's going to cost you a little bit now, it's not nearly as much as you're spending on the main character you're playing anyway. There you go. As you can see, the Hunter's Medals I put up literally already sold. Another 500 gold in my pocket for doing virtually nothing. Got 45 mil unbound, 7 mil bound, so that's not too bad at all. But that's pretty much it. That covers how I use my alts, how we use our energy, what the philosophy is behind it. Just side notes, if you're someone who, let's say for example, has infinite time and they don't want to bother with, they want to get the most out of every single dime they possibly can, best thing for you to do is actually not even use Virtuous Verses at all. Just literally skip all of that stuff and then run your stuff out on each character individually. You can also opt to do what I do, just without the Virtuous Verses, and run down your account energy manually. It's going to take way longer, but you aren't putting any money into the Virtuous Verses, so nice. The other thing to mention is these potions. I personally have been able to keep my stocks of these potions pretty decently by taking advantage of the events. Usually they tend to pop up in the Passionate store. Let's see, yeah, legendary supply potions. They pop up here pretty often, so I grab them from there. And you get like, these are 2 of them, and you get 10 each, so that's 20 more of these. They also tend to pop up in other shops and things like that. Whenever there's an event or whatever, I tend to grab them from there too. Wherever you can get them from. Technically, these are also kind of like sort of pay to win, because you can pay to win to get them. But I've never had to pay any extra money to get a hold of these, and you can see I have 41 of them now. So like, we're in a pretty decent spot, and as long as you're not just spamming them left, right, and center, you're using them properly. You should only ever need to use 1 of these a day, and even then, in some situations, if you happen to not get gold drink, like let's say for example, you don't wait around for gold drink and you don't get gold drink from your shop here, then and you want to burn your energy, I would just avoid using one of these gold pots and just skip it for that day. You're not stacking the most gold bonus you can, might as well just go ahead and run it out. Oh, this is something else now. I was hoping I showed a gold buff so I can show you guys how that works out, but either way, that is my entire philosophy behind all of this. Hopefully we caught everything here. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Let me know what it is you guys do with your energy burning, how you run through all of your stuff, how you keep yourself sane through all of it, because I know depending upon how much you put into it, you could very heavily optimize and use a lot of time, or you can save as much time as possible, optimize very little, and you know, save your sanity. Either way, thanks for watching all the way to the end, guys. Take care, my friends. Peace out.